everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Emily Kern here with Deanna Rogers. We're coming at you from the Stay at Home Bookkeeper Academy. How's everybody doing? Y'all pop a comment down below. I'm really excited to have some fun people today. Like I said, we got Deanna Rogers and we have the amazing, incomparable, the beautiful Sharon White with us. Hello, Sharon. How you doing?
There a different Sharon White here? That doesn't
The always humble and amazing Sharon.
All right, well, Sharon, let's start at the beginning. Were there any fears or doubts about making that transition at that stage of your life, or were you like, no, I'm just ready to go? Like, was there anything in your head at that time that just really stood out now looking back at that?
yes and no. I mean, when I saw the ad and my reaction to it was like, so visceral. Oh my gosh, this is it. Um, and I was already looking to make a change at that late age. So I wasn't really afraid of the change and the time of life and, digging in and doing something. Then once I started to get into it, once I'm in the academy and I'm attending the calls, and I was just saying this today, I was hosting one of our calls for our students. And I was saying when I started, I, was attending every one of these calls that I could attend to absorb it and to just surround my world in the energy of a bookkeeping business. And I kind of was thinking, oh dear, what have I gotten myself into? I don't really know what they're talking about. But that constant attendance, I did know what they were talking about eventually, and progressively, and now I'm one of the bookkeeping mentors. So it's really surprising what you can learn. So I was excited. Had no compunction about starting something later in life. But then there was a little bit of, oh gosh, am I going to be able to get this? And the answer was yes, I was able to get it.
I love that. So I want to key into that bit. So you had this big aha moment where like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to push myself to do this. But talk to me about then you committed, you made an investment, you came into a program, and then it sounds like there was a little bit of nerves and what do I do? Oh my gosh, I've made this transition. I got to commit to this. Can you talk to me about what kept you resilient through that? What kept you going? What did you focus on when you got in? I mean, did you feel overwhelmed and then just, stick with showing up to calls? What kept you going those first few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I hadn't really thought about that before. And so I'm looking up into the heavens. Help me. I think that it was just this notion of if not this, then what? Going back to what I was doing. So just sort of that overarching desire to not have to go back to the other stuff and to make this work.
Mhm.
And, just holding on to that notion that I came into this, I saw that Facebook ad and went, oh, bookkeeping, that's it. Knew that was something that I could do and probably would be good at. And so I just sort of continued to reframe and, that negative self-talk, just tell it to shut up and let's just stare at these screens and figure it out, and
So it sounds like you really stuck with your why. You had that why in your head, and that's what kept you going.
yeah.
I love that. So, okay, I know that Emily kind of touched on it a little while ago, but I'm going to ask the question. So, how quickly did you land your first client? I remember you had one of the fastest first clients ever. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I don't mind saying my age either. I launched my business 2 days after my 55th birthday.
I love it.
And that day, when I launched, my launch was simply a Facebook post, like marrying my Facebook business page to my personal page, creating a live event and creating a post and having people see it. And a friend who's also a business owner comment on that. Does this mean you could sort out my QuickBooks for me? And I was like, that's exactly what it means. That was the first day, the day of the launch, within an hour of the post, I think.
So an hour. So within
Well,
an hour.
but then, like, I spent a whole day figuring out how do I have the call with him, the discovery call, and then we had it, and then I had a whole day of how do I send a proposal, and then a whole day of, and now those things go much quicker. But I had to do all the tutorials and outside the group, additional stuff, researching it all and figuring out how to use PandaDoc and all the softwares and stuff. And so, it's a little bit of a steep learning curve those first few days, but I believe he signed the engagement letter. So we had call, proposal, yes, send the engagement letter for signature. I think he signed it on day 3 of after my,
That is crazy. That is crazy. I love it. I always love to brag on that whenever you share. So it sounds like you kept it simple. You said, I'm going to announce my business. I may not know quite exactly, the whole process of what's going to happen, but you committed. And that's what we share a lot with our students. And sometimes they don't believe us, like, oh, should I start marketing? But that's a testament to keeping it simple and putting yourself out there. And then, you had the support to help you figure out the rest. But I'd love to know with that first client, you said you thought, oh gosh, I got to figure out how to use PandaDoc and send him a contract. But you got that first client and you started working on that first client. What did that do for your confidence to keep going and keep pushing?
Yes. Well, that's huge because, you can study all the modules and tutorials, which I had done. And that's another thing too, as I said, I just couldn't get into those modules of that other program that's unrelated. And these I just like was voraciously consuming them. I just was like, couldn't get enough. But I got into those modules and I started learning, and that kept the confidence going. And, but learning those modules, you still then get somebody else's books, a client's books. And, you're looking at their QuickBooks and you're going, I have no idea what to do now. But the academy gave me all the support I needed. It was like, okay, breathe and start here. Okay, sure, I can do that. Yeah. And, just chipping away at it and, reminding myself that that client is off doing their own business. They're doing what they do. They
Mhm.
are not looking over my shoulder,
Mhm.
and they're not like waiting with bated breath for me to catch up the last 2 years of undone books. And so I can breathe and take it one step at a time, and, reach out to the academy and get the support I need. So
Yeah,
just
we
chipping away.
were we were just talking. I love that point. And I was on a coaching call recently. We were talking about that very same thing. It would be different if you were it was your first day as a hairstylist and you had never practiced on anyone before. The person is there and you're like, oh gosh, I gotta cut their hair in real time and what is gonna happen. But I love that you pointed out they're not sitting there watching over your shoulder, and that's what makes this business opportunity a lot more lucrative and good for people to start without having experience, especially when you have the support that we
Yeah,
have.
yeah. Because as much as you can as we said, do the tutorials and learn the systems, learn QuickBooks in general without it being a particular client's books. You still get into the client's books and you're like, and you don't really start learning the bookkeeping and gaining confidence until you're actually doing somebody's books. And
Mhm.
that's why we always tell our students, don't wait on the marketing. Don't wait till you get through all of our bookkeeping content before you start marketing, because you're never going to know everything. And get that client, and we'll help you with the bookkeeping piece. And also, most people don't sign their first client on day 3. So you start the marketing, and it might take a while to get a client. You have plenty of time to keep learning and diving into those skills.
Mhm.
Um, and then when you get that client, that's when you really start building the skills and understanding the processes, when you have an actual set of live, real books to work on.
So did you say earlier that you went, maybe I heard this wrong, but you said you went from like working 40 hours a week, replace your income, and then you went to just like working around, was it 5 or 6 hours a week? Is that right? Or did
Yeah.
I hear that wrong?
Well, The actual client work that I do is averages somewhere between 4 to 6 hours a week to get all my
Okay.
clients' books finished.
So you went from 40 hours to 4 to 6 hours a week. How do
Yeah.
you structure your days? I am so curious.
Well, I will say I also work probably somewhere between 6 and 10 hours a week for the academy in my mentoring
Right.
work. So, and I'm not including that. So when we say I replaced my former income, I'm not including the academy income, and I'm just talking about the client work. And it is like 4 to 6 hours a week to get all my clients finished. That tends to be front loaded in the front of the month. But then there are additional marketing networks, marketing time and networking time and that kind of thing that we all should be engaging in kind of day in, day out if we want to really be growing our business. But I will say I have not done a ton of that. So it's not much different than that 4 to 6 hours we're talking about. But it certainly could be because we have students that are growing these huge empires in their bookkeeping business and are spending much more time in marketing and networking than I'm spending.
Well, that's the beautiful thing is you in a business like this, you kind of get to decide. Like you mentioned, some people want to build, we have mentors on our team who want to build an empire and have a lazy river in their backyard and a beach house in Florida. And then some people said, I want more balance of my life. I just want to work a couple hours a week to fit my needs. So I actually want to add in a question for everybody who's watching. If you could put in the comments, if you only had to work, let's round it up just a little bit, 6 to 10 hours a week, what would you do with the rest of your time? Comment below and let us know. But Sharon, share with us when you made that change, and you were able to replace that 40 hours, working 4 to 6 hours on your client work, and you do other things. You do work with us, and you sing and you perform as well. What do you do with that extra free time that you didn't have when you had to work a 40-hour 9 to 5?
Yes, well, I have much more time for my fun pursuits, hobbies. And gosh, keeping my house clean, it's in much better condition now than it was.
Mhm.
um, but also I had something unexpected. So when I launched my business, I thought, yeah, I want to grow to a really large scale business, and I still have that goal, but life happens.
Mhm.
And shortly after maybe a year after I launched my business, and that was about the time that it took to replace the former income with, that many clients. About that time, it suddenly became clear that I was going to have to spend quite a bit of time helping to care for my elderly parents.
Mhm.
And so, now it's like, okay, well, I need to kind of halt the marketing for now a little bit because I don't really know what it's going to look like. And, also, I still didn't have uh, as good of skills as I do now. I mean, I'm fast now, faster with my clients. So at that time, I probably wasn't at the 4 to 6 hour a week
Mhm.
average. It was more than that. But yeah, I've just whittled that down because my skills are just heightened now. But it just gave me the gift of time because
Mhm.
now I'm making my former income, paying all my bills, and only spending 4 to 6 hours a week, And so while I still want to grow my business, that has been an amazing gift to have have started my business when I did, and I was paying my bills when I met that occasion that was like, oh, it's going to look different,
Mhm.
and so it's allowed me to still, make the money I need to make with
Mhm.
fairly low stress because I could do it at midnight if I had to
Yeah.
spend all the day in a hospital or something,
Mhm.
and so it's really been great for that.
Yeah, and that's really powerful. People talk a lot about financial freedom, but really, what we want in life is time freedom to put that time where, whether you want to, like you said, with hobbies, but as you said, life happens. And so I think that's a really important reminder that we can chase finances, we can chase financial goals, but that time freedom is something very, very powerful that some people may not understand is possible in a business like this. So I love that you keyed into that.
And
I
the
love
reverse has been true also with many of our students. They get in thinking, I just need to make a couple $1,000s a month to help with my family's overall bills. And wouldn't it be great if I could do it at home? And so I could always, pick up the kids from soccer and, whatever it is. And yet they get into this and think, oh, this is kind of amazing. And I
Mhm.
think I could build this to quite an impressive business, and they do. So the
Mhm.
goals change. My goal was I had to retract the goal a little bit, and other people are like, "Sheesh, the sky is
Mhm.
the limit here.
Yeah.
Let me take advantage of it."
If there's anything, this is proof that it's never too late. If you've been waiting for a sign to invest in yourself and take back control of your time, this is it. So I know, Emily, you're putting the sign up. Go ahead, scan the QR code. It'll take you to a page where you can chat with our team about your next steps. Anything else that we should be saying to everyone right now? Emily, Sharon, I mean, I'm just
We thank you,
excited.
Sharon.
I
Sharon,
know.
so awesome. You and
I
what
know.
what I want people to key into here who are watching is you can work with Sharon directly. You come join our academy. She is one of our mentors. She does calls every single week. She answers questions. She is a big favorite whenever we're viewing metrics and comments each week, saying how much they love Sharon. So if you want to just absorb the inspirational greatness that is Sharon, um, she is a key member of our team, and we are just so thankful for you being here with us today, Sharon.
Thank
Been
you,
fun.
Sharon.
Thanks for having me.
We love it. Okay, bye, everybody.